Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video of me reacting. Sorry it took me so long, but I had to rewatch Chapter 5 episodes a couple times before I went ahead and reacted to this because they were so good. So this is the first trailer for Chapter 6, which is due to be released June 26th. As usual, I'm just going to play it all the way through first, and then I will pause it and frame by frame as necessary talk about what I see. So, here we go.
ここは200年前の世界だ。ガミラス星もイスカンダルもまだ存在している。ヤマトならそこへ行くこともできる。そしてガルマン星の存在を教え、将来のガミラス星崩壊に備えた移住計画を策定する。結果、ガミラスは地球を侵略する必要がなくなり、地球は7割の人口を失う悲劇を免れる。歴史は変わる。変えられるんだ。俺たちは、ヤマトは、きっとこのためにこの時代に送り込まれたんだ。
Okay. So, first things first, spoiler alert, at the end of Chapter 5, Yamato seemingly traveled back to the 21st century, more specifically June of 2026. So basically when this next chapter is scheduled to be released is essentially when she's hovering over downtown Tokyo. And of course this is classic, everyone's got their smartphones up. I think the 11th Doctor said it best, the end of the world, viewed as it was always meant to be, through a video phone. So, you can't make it up. It is kind of funny. So, the next thing that I see, it's nice to see Yaminami still around, actually. Really, I hope they don't kill him off. I really like him. So this is actually interesting here. So my reading skills of Japanese are not that great, but I was able to translate part of this, and I believe one of those letters is Shichigatsu, I think. So that would indicate July. In some of the translations I found, it was July 21st. So she's probably here for at least a month. In this modern era, but I also see behind this image, which is a global article, like a CNN article kind of thing, you see a lot of pictures of modern warships. I see what's obviously a U.S. carrier up there in the top middle, and a couple other pictures as well. So it makes sense, a strange ship appears hovering over downtown Tokyo. The JMSDF and the U.S. Navy are going to respond pretty much in kind. So that makes sense. That's actually going to be interesting. I'm curious to actually see how that goes. There was at one point a mention by Sanada in I think it was the 2202 documentary, I think, where he said something about an alien scare over Tokyo in 2026. So that could have been Yamato herself at that point. What it actually did, I don't know. But as I think about it, I feel like Yamato is in a predestination paradox. Now, if you don't know, a predestination paradox basically means you were meant to go back into the past. Because something happened in the past that caused whatever, caused you to end up existing because you caused it. And so you have to go back in time to cause it. But then how do you go back in time to cause something if you don't exist yet? So that's the paradox. But basically, it just means that you were meant to go back to that specific point in time. And that's what I think is going on here with Yamato. If it is actually the Earth of 2026. It could be one of those pocket dimensions, or one of those things like how Sasha lived, because Sasha lived as a human. Nimi mentioned that, but I don't feel like it was expressed explicitly that Sasha lived on Earth, like the whole Earth, like that. I don't think it was that extensive. I think it really was more implying that she didn't want for anything, that they took good care of her. that you got to live like a normal human, I would not say that that means that this entire Earth is just a makeup of Desarium design. We already know that a ship with a wave motion engine can't pass through the space-time connection point. So with Yamato being not just a ship with a wave motion engine, but one with a pure wave motion engine core, because remember, she's the only one that has a pure Iskandarium core, right? And she just warped out. She's like at pretty close to warp speed when faster than light travel, when she catches that point. So I think it did throw her into the past. So I think it's absolutely real that she's in the past now. She's 200 years back instead of the 1,000 years forward that she wants to be. So, of course, now this is going to cause some problems. I don't know who these guys are. I don't know what that light is behind them either. I'll get to Sasha here in a second. I'm really trying to figure that out. I don't know. Some kind of light. I can't tell what it is, though. It's interesting. It could be modern humans. That is, the 2026 humans. It could be that they're being welcomed on board, perhaps. Something like that. I don't know, though. Now we see Sasha here. So obviously, okay, this is the ground. We've got trees, stars. I can see what looks like a building there in the right-hand corner. So obviously, at some point, either Yamato lands in the bay, actually is able to dock in the bay, or she goes off somewhere else and hides. I feel like the latter is more likely. I feel like she would have used her superior technology and superior everything, let's be honest. I mean, you could hit her with a nuke and it wouldn't even scratch the wave motion shields. Not that anybody in their right mind would fire a nuclear weapon anywhere near a major city like that. You just would cause more collateral damage than anything. But I think Yamato probably, either she got in contact with the local authorities, or she basically turned tail. Once she realized where she was, she turned tail and ran and went off and hid somewhere, which I wouldn't be surprised. She's pretty good at that. And I don't think it would be that difficult to fool modern technology. So I think that's probably what she did. And the crew's basically under orders to, you can go out and explore, but be careful about it. Then you got Fruil? I cannot say her name. I'm sorry. I can't. I've tried. Fruil? I can't. I'm just going to call her Frou because sorry. I can't say her name. The little Desarium girl here. Right? So she's obviously going out. Looks like she's going to school because she's got her backpack on. Now going out to hang out with Tsubasa again. Now she's interesting actually because she has the ability, unlike most of the other Desarium I've seen, she has the ability to take her comm badge off. We saw her do that in chapter 4. Yeah, chapter 4. We saw her do that. So I'm pretty confident that that's what it is. I feel like if there was any Desarium who would turn away from Mother, it was either going to be her or it's going to be Alphon. I feel like honestly it would be both. I don't know about him. Her father there is Alphon's brother, friend. I forget what it is, but they're both a different kind of Desarium. They're more human kind or something like that. I don't really understand what the difference is, to be honest. Obviously, of course, the Resistance is doing something again here, which is probably going to play right into Desarium's hands again. I mean, after chapter 5, let's be honest, what they did with Yamato in chapter 5 was dirty, okay? That was fucking dirty what they did. It genuinely pissed me off when I saw what they did, that they basically slandered Yamato's good name and made her out to be some kind of slaughterhouse. and rewrote pretty much every Dazarian except for Alphon, who just extraordinary circumstances managed to avoid it to do that. And it pisses me off because this is not that far-fetched of a thing to do, because it has been done before in reality, in real history. All you have to do is look at Germany in the 1930s. What Dazarium was doing is what the Nazis did, basically. That's how they converted an entire population to follow them. Alright, they basically rewrote history, and what they couldn't rewrite, they found ways to slander very successfully. And Dazarium's doing the same thing. It's very accurate on their part, and it makes me very angry. So Alphon's interesting. So we do know that in the original Be Forever Yamato from 1980, which this series is based on right now, the season is, that he does eventually kind of convert, more or less. He dies in Yuki's arms, basically. I'm pretty sure he's going to die at the end of this one. Whether or not he dies because he's protecting Yuki, defending her, or helping her, or trying to stop her, I don't know. But it's obvious that he's going through kind of a crisis now because he doesn't know what to think. In the last episode we saw him in, he's like, I don't understand. Everyone else is believing this, even the other people who were there, that Yamato did this horrible thing, and I saw it, and it's not true. And I know it's not true. So it's going to be interesting to see what he actually does with that. And if he can actually successfully hide that information, too. Because I have a feeling that if Mother knew that he knew the truth, she would probably do something worse to him. Makoto here is interesting because she, in the last chapter, was approached by the Resistance, who asked her to help. She basically told them, no, I need to look after my son. But at the end of chapter 5, when Dazarium was airing their shit about Yamato, slandering her, she was very clearly pissed off. She was very emotional. It was very obvious that you could see it in her face that she was, I know this isn't true. I know what they're trying to do. So I think she probably will become involved with the Resistance here. So that's going to be interesting because there's that school teacher, of course, Tsubusa's school teacher, who's very much pro-Dazarium now. And he was saying some pretty nasty things about Yamato in the last episode as well. That I wonder if she's going to snap back at him for and remind him, like, hey, I was on that initial crew. I did the voyage to Iskandar. I met my husband and conceived my child on board that ship. Right? Because remember, Makoto was pregnant in 2199. She got pregnant on board. That's actually why they married. Remember that in, I think, the last episode it was, when Makoto and Kato were talking, that she was saying, we're getting married for us and for our little one. So Tsubusa was conceived on that ship. So I think you got to keep that in mind. It really means a lot to her. I think now this is going to push her over the edge, and I think she's going to become involved with Nanbu and the others, for better or for worse. So this is definitely going to get interesting for sure. Damen, can there please just come a time in your life when you're not pointing a gun at somebody to make your point? Or better yet, just don't point a gun at Kodai, because it's always Kodai you point it at, every time. So Damen here is talking about, and I watched this through a couple times already with the translation, so I kind of know what's going on. So he's talking about the fact that it is 2026, it's 200 years in the past. Well, not quite, but, roughly 200 years in the past. Okay, 108, 180, 190, whatever it is. And he's talking about how Gamalas and Iskandar both still exist, and they can prevent the war, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm just like, Damen, that's exactly the attitude Desarium's taking. That's literally what they are doing. And yeah, he's pointing at Kodai. Surprise. I'm like, at this point, Dahlman, are you son to serve for Kodai or something? Because you can't seem to help but point your gun at him. Sorry, I had to make that joke. But it's like he's always after Kodai. It's like it's so funny to me. So we'll see what happens there. So now we have some of the escapees from Ginga's crew and probably the Hyuga as well. And that was a plot twist for sure. Plot twist and a half. So after the Asuka got captured, I thought, oh crap. Then it was revealed that Captain Kitano was a traitorous bastard. And I just wanted to see him die. And then now we got a whole different situation here where Captain Kitano actually helped the Hyuga crew escape because he deliberately aimed his shots at the Hyuga with his ship very specifically and was able to basically direct Hyuga's fall onto the moon's surface right where she basically came to a stop right over the transport tunnel. So the crew could actually, get out, evacuate through that transport tunnel to safety before Desarium could get to them. And at the same time, he keeps himself in good standing with Desarium. And it wasn't by accident he did that either. He did it deliberately. In that episode, you can see he sends a transmission. He sends an encoded transmission to Captain Toto, Ginga's captain, who's on the moon, who's leading the moon contingent, and has her ready to receive these people, and then he basically steers it. So I don't know if that was his original plan. I don't feel like it was. I mean, it feels pretty well thought out, but then again, he's damn good at what he does. There's no question about that. Traitor or not, he's a damn good ship captain. So I feel like he did not initially plan to do that. I think he planned on letting the Hyuga escape, probably, because he was very reluctant to fire on the Hyuga because his younger brother, was on board. And of course, they had that little confrontation there on Hyuga's bridge, where the younger Kitano basically comes forward onto the bridge without permission and starts yelling at Captain Kitano through the view screen. And I think that is actually what makes Captain Kitano on the Asuka change his mind. I think I think he's kind of in the middle at this point. He doesn't want to see a future where everyone is machines like him, because remember, he's half machine at this point because of his injuries. But he also doesn't want... I think he also doesn't really want Desarium to succeed either. He's really kind of torn, I feel like. So, I think he more or less proved his loyalty to Desarium at that point, but it was also very obviously for show that he was showing his loyalty to Desarium. So, we'll see where he falls later on. I still think he's a traitorous asshole who's going to deserve some kind of punishment, but we'll have to wait and see just what he does, if he actually is going to work with the Resistance, or if he's just stringing both sides along, hoping one of them's going to win. I don't know, but at this point, I really don't like him. I have lost pretty much all respect for him. And if he dies, I'm not going to cry about it. It's going to serve him right. You're a traitor, it's what you get. So, now we have here... Is this Toto? Captain Toto? No, her hair color is wrong. It's one of the moon. It's one of Ginga's crew, I'm pretty sure, and they're trying to break out Ginga's EXO, who's been stuck in this state for a while now, and has been used as a propaganda tool, basically, without her knowledge. At this point, I feel like that the Resistance is going to gain a new ship, and her name's going to be Ginga. In chapter 6, excuse me. It's going to be great, actually, if that's the case, that to see Ginga fly again, and take charge of the Resistance, because at this point, they don't have the Hyuga anymore. I think there's a couple other ships that are still around, but they remained with Gaman Gamelas. So, and of course the Asuka was captured. So, and is working with Desarium now. So you've pretty much just got the Ginga and maybe the Arizona, but she doesn't have a wave motion core, so you can't really fly her. And I don't know what state she's in now after Desarium attacked her. When the Resistance used her to attack their main base. So we'll see. So that'll be interesting. This is intriguing. So, as I already mentioned, a ship with the wave motion core can't pass through the space-time connection point. So what I think is happening here, what I think is going on here is somehow the Yamato crew got a hold of a phase energy cell, or maybe they made one from spare parts. I don't know, whatever it is, they were able to figure it out. And they combine it with the wave motion engine. So they got those two very different energies working in tandem with each other. And I think that they do this in order to go through the connection point in the right direction, i.e. forward. So they can either end up back in their own time or actually end up arriving in 3199. I don't know which one. Or maybe they're just trying to get back to their own time and then try and close the connection point so that no more can come through. You close that connection point, the phase energy is cut off too, because that's where it's flowing from. So I don't know, but that's my guess. That looks like what they're doing. And then Skuldart here does not look happy. So I don't know what he's grumbling about. This creeps me out. Okay, this creeps me out. So you have Dolman here. You got Aka. You've got another crew member here. You actually got a couple crew members here. I can't tell. You have 4 of them in all, and I'm not sure. So there's 2 possibilities here. One is they are actually who they are, and Desarium got into them somehow. Or these are body doubles that Desarium themselves made back on Earth in 2207. So that's a possibility. And then we have Sasha here, whose eyes are turning red. Now, in the original Be Forever Yamato, every crew member except for Sasha believed Desarium's lies. Okay, Sasha was the only one who was able to convince them otherwise. Now, there's 2 possibilities here. One is Sasha, because she is interfacing with the Yamato. When the Yamato takes on that phase energy, it's causing her eyes to glow. Now, we've already seen those crystals around her neck glow, so that could be what's going on here, is the phase energy is causing that kind of interaction with her. Or Sasha, the Sasha that we know here, is herself a body double that was planted by Desarium to infiltrate the Yamato crew and cause havoc. If that's the case, then the other crew members who are wearing those comm medals and have their glowing eyes, that actually would make sense. So again, this to me looks like very much like Yamato's going through the space-time connection point and is using both the phase energy and the wave of motion engine to do so. So as for predictions at this point, so prediction number 1, I think Ginga's going to fly again. I think we're going to see the Ginga retaken by the Resistance and put to use by the Resistance. That'll be good. I really hope that she's not destroyed because I really, really like that ship. I think we're going to see one way or another where Captain Kitano actually falls, whether he's an ally or an enemy. I think we're going to see Makoto heavily involved with the Resistance and taking part in some kind of major operation. I think we're going to see Alfen choosing his own side as well. And I'm going to say it's probably Yuki's side at this point. I think we're going to see Yamato herself. Something major is going to happen with her. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. But I'm predicting very much at this point she's going to travel through the space-time connection point again and either end up in the future, 31 in the year 3199, or she's going to end up back in 2207. I don't know which. But that's what I'm anticipating at this point. So those are my predictions. As usual, we'll wait for the next trailer to come out, which probably will be like another month, because they released 3 trailers. They released the first one usually like a week or two after the previous chapter airs, and then they wait like another month, and then they release the second trailer, and then like a month before the new one comes out, they release their last trailer. And then, like the week before, they release like the first couple minutes of the first episode. So at this going rate, I think the next the next trailer is probably going to come out in April, probably the beginning of April, and then after that, it'll probably be like end of May or so for the last trailer to come out. But the first minute trailer, I'm expecting in April probably. So that'll be fun. Hopefully, the chapters episodes don't take as long to release on Crunchyroll as they did this last time. I was about ready to lose my shit when it took over 3 weeks for them to actually release them. So, I mean, I was about ready to riot. So, hopefully, it don't take this long for Chapter 6. Remember, this is a 7-part series, so Chapter 6 is going to encompass episodes 19 through 21. Right? Yeah, 22. 19, 20, 21, and 22. And then Chapter 7, which at this rate is probably going to be released late this year. I mean, I would say probably October, November, maybe even December. So I think they want to get them all done this year so they can start working on the next project, which is either going to be the original season 3, which a lot of people don't like, and I get that. It is kind of a dumb storyline, but it's also kind of fun too. So they're either going to do that, or they're going to go straight to the final Yamato storyline. And they are eventually going to get to that, so that's going to be interesting. I'm actually more curious to see what's going to happen when they get to the point of Yamato resurrection and deal with that, because when that movie was released back in, was it 2009? They never continued it on, because that's when they just decided to just remake everything. So we never got to find out exactly what happened to Yuki. We never got any of those answers. So, I mean, that's going to be probably like another 5 to 6, if not 10 years down the road before we get to that point. But, they've finished their. I think they finished their filming and their editing and stuff for Chapter 6, and they're working on Chapter 7 now. So, the last of this season should be out by the end of this year. All of it. We should have all 26 episodes by the end of this year, I think. If we go by the average timeline that we have between chapters at this point, that's what I'm expecting. So, it'll be interesting to see once we get Chapter 7 out, and then I'm sure it's going to be a couple months, and then we'll hear, they're either going to remake the original season 3, where you had the issue with her son, or they're going to go straight to Final Yamato. I mean, that's pretty much their only 2 options at this point for the next main story. So we'll have to wait and see what they decide to do. Anyway, enough of that. Chapter 6 is going to come out June 26th. Most likely that probably means it'll probably be out in my country around Independence Day time, July 4th or so. So that'll be a fun weekend present for me. Anyway, when the next trailer drops, I'll do another one of these. Hope you enjoyed this one. I went on for way too long. Sorry about that. And I will see you all later. Have a good day.